right? And just a second. In 501. Okay.
Bhaiya, I had an issue with this Express.
Okay, what was the problem?
Like first, like we start the server with Express. Like, is there any command to end also? Like
Yeah,
end at at that port.
basically you use Control C, and then this will come up.
Oh,
Uh,
Control C terminal. Okay, okay,
yeah, in the terminal.
okay.
Right? I'm getting a somewhat similar like last time. Yes, 390. Okay, so basically last time we built a simple login and register portal, right? And we use a middleware authentication uh, using JSON web token that will only allow users who signed in before to access a particular page. And it also simultaneously checks if a cookie does exist, then take the user to that page by default, just like how Instagram and Twitter all work the same way. When you log in once, you stay logged in. That's because you've been authenticated before by the server, and you're allowed to directly access the homepage of or the post page in Instagram or Twitter. So right now I'm having a bit of an issue, big error over here. Let's try and figure this out. I think that cookie is still there that we made last time. Let's just change this to the slash route and try. Yeah, because in the default route we don't want authentication, and we can by default take it to the register page. Yep. Okay. Login. This is the problem. No issues. All right. We'll correct this, but before that, you remember the JSON web token. For that, we need to sign the payload. We need a secret, and we put the secret as my secret over here in the server file itself. The thing is, when you're doing an open source project, you don't want your signing variables or your hashing variables to be open in the server like this. So we did this in a few sessions back. So you'll be using some dot file called .env. All right. In this file, you'll be saving all your and env stands for environment variables. So here you will store all the stuff that you don't want that should only be known to the server, and it should not be shared across any projects unless you wanted to. So the basic syntax for env is basically a key value pair. So your key is basically the name of the secret, and the value comes after the assignment operator or the equal to, and there you put the value. So I'll just take this one over here and I'll paste it over here. All right. And you can even do one more thing for the port over here, right? Let's just, instead of putting a number there, we'll just put a common one. Port as 501, right? And we can, and to use the env, I'll come to my terminal. I'll do, uh, okay, I'm using yarn, right? So if you want to use yarn, you can just do npmi dash g. Yeah, this will install yarn in your globally in your system. But if you once you install it, the default terminal for VS Code is PowerShell. If I try to put yarn dash v over there, it will give me an error because we have to do some file changes. Instead of doing that, you can just make your default terminal as the command prompt. I've done that over here. So over here, next I can just put yarn add dot env. Okay, I'll come to my next.js, come up here, require dot env, sorry, and config. Okay, so let's just see what .config does, right? Loads the env file into the HTTPS. Basically, whatever is there in our .env, we can access it in our index.js file. So I'll remove this my secret. I don't need that anymore. And wherever I'm using the JWT secret, so here, right? So instead of my secret, I'll just put process dot env dot the name of the variable. So I saved as auth secret. Okay. Another place where I'm using it is in right for creating a token or in the login. Uh, right. So far, I'm using in these three locations. All right. Let's see if this is working. And yeah, my files are still being served in the same port, and this will probably give me an error. Okay, no issues. Before that, we'll try and fix it in a while. Uh, this middleware, right? Instead of keeping in the same server file, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder called middleware. It can be any name you want, and I'll create a file in that auth.js. Okay. In this, what I'll do is I'll just take my require auth middleware and I'll put it over here. And for this middleware, I need a JWT dependency. So I'll just put const JWT equal to require JSON web token. Okay. And like any other module file, module.exports equal to require auth. Okay. Now next is over here I'll come and I need to import the middleware, right? So I can just do const destructure require auth from or it require the path of the file. So it's in the same directory but in the middleware folder inside the auth file. All right. Then I'll come to my slash login where I seem to be having the problem. If request.user does exist, then redirect home. I'll send to the HTML file. So if the logic is correct here, it should append the user path file to the request.user and then go to the next. Okay, this is all correct. Okay, maybe forget login page, you don't need it as of now. I just want to see if it's working. Okay, if I sign in now. Okay, and log out. All right. And one more thing in the home page, I think the logic was wrong the last time around. So if the request.user is there, yeah, then take to home. If that is correct. If it is not there, then redirect to slash login. All right. Okay, so let's get started. So once we create our account, we can log in. We'll be taken to the login page. Inside the login page, I have this change username, change password, change form, all these forms that will not focus on right now. But how will I know that which users page is this, right? Even in Instagram, you can see whose profile page it is, right? So over there, it in every page is customized to that particular user's name, that user's post and all. So that's where adding dynamic features to your web page becomes important. In this page, we're just serving a simple static page using a res.send file, and we are sending the HTML uh, home file, right? And there's no way we can put information other. Here I had created an ID user. If you want to get an information uh, using static file, what you would have to do is you have to create a JavaScript file or and link it over here, and another route, say it should be like a app.get slash data. This is the same thing that we did for our post project, and it should be authenticated response. All right. And over here, what we can do is console.log request.data. So I'll come over here, but this will not work because I'm not sending anything. Okay, it's coming as undefined. Token is there. Dot token same one. All right, no issues. Oh, so basically, I'm serving this static page. To get the data, I would have to create another route, and then in my JavaScript file in the front end, I'd have to do use a fetch API to get the data of that user and then append it over here. So I'm putting more load on the browser by doing this. So that's where EJS comes in. EJS stands for Embedded JavaScript. So it's used to make your page more dynamic. Let's just check out the uh, documentation for this. Or let's just Google EJS. That'll be it. Right. So this is the documentation. As it's mentioned, EJS is a simple templating language that lets you generate HTML markup with plain JavaScript. So what this basically means is you can make a EJS file in your server, and in that EJS file you can add JavaScript logic. And what the server will do is it will render that logic, like it will run that logic in the server, convert into a HTML page, and then give that to the client browser. What this basically does, it reduces you know, the overall workload of the user's browser, making smooth user experience. So let's see how we can use it. Here it is. I'm using Yarn, so you can use npmi yarn add EJS. All right, till then I'll come to my index.js. Okay, and I'll over here I'll put app.set view engine EJS. Okay, so what does dot set do, right? Assigning setting value to val or returning setting value. Uh, in general, dot set view engine means within EJS we have various engines to look at the files in our uh, server. In that we are trying to use a templating engine. So view engine means view as the templating engine of EJS and run those EJS files and then deliver it to the front end. When we add this, we have access to a method called res.render. The render method takes in name argument is name of the file, and the second argument is the data that we want to send to that file. So before using the render, I'll come to my file structure. I'll create a views file. Inside my views, I'll just create a login.ejs. And what was there inside my login.html? I'll take it out and put in my login.ejs. Come back to my index.js, and I don't need, uh, okay, this was register, right? We use this in the login. All right, so change this out. I don't need these two anymore. Instead of just res.send file, I can just do res.render and login, just the name of that file. So I'll come back to this one. I'll log out. I'll go to login, and I'm getting the same page, but I'm not sending it with the rest.send file. I'm using EJS and the dot render method to send the file to the front end. So dot render basically it looks for the file we specify. And then it runs that file in the server and delivers the HTML file to the client. I can similarly create other files, register.ejs and another one home.ejs, and I'll just take what was there in this and think home, right? Or register, okay, and add it to my register.ejs. Same way, what was there in my home, I'll take it and add it to my home.ejs. So now I basically don't need this HTML folder itself. I'm just deleting it off. And in my index.ejs, I'm going to change wherever it is to send file to render using the render method. So the default route over here was register. I was sending the register file, so res.render register. Similarly, over this is the post route for in my home route, I can just do res dot. This is all right. Okay, res dot render home. As simple as that. So if I come back over here, I'll log in. There seems to be a small error. Yep, sorry about that. Right, so now we are in the home. I log out, register page, login page. Again, I can log in. So all of this is being done in the server. My HTML file is being produced in the server and being sent to the JavaScript, right? So what do I mean by rendering the file? So I'll come to my say login page. I'll come just below the body. So in EJS, as you saw, it's a templating language. That means there's a syntax associated with it. The basic syntax of EJS is basically the lesser than, percentage, percentage, greater than. So, and whatever you put inside this is valid JavaScript. So say console dot console.log won't work over there. Let me see what example we can use. Mm, let's just take a look at it. Documentation is much easier. Okay, we'll start over with inserting variables first. So as I mentioned that before this, I'll go to my index.js. I mentioned the second argument of render takes in the data that you want to send to that particular file. So say in my login page, I want to send a page object, page that takes in, that's an object. It has the, say the page title, and this is the login page, and the file associated with that page, say login. All right, so I can go in my login.ejs. I can come up here. Instead of putting just login over there, I can just use the EJS syntax, and then I want an output, right? Output of that particular variable that is coming from my server. So page dot title. Okay. Same way, it's over here. Uh, right, I don't need to come out in this case, so just a slash. I can just do, okay, I put login. There's no login page, so I can send the style page itself. I mean the name of the file. So it's just style.css. And here I can come over here, put in the less than, percentage, equal to basically means output a particular variable in a escaped format. We'll look at what escaped and unescaped format is in a while. And then I'll put page dot file and close it off. So now if I, okay, or just for viewing page dot title and page dot file to see how it works, I'll just put it over here, and the comma will give me an error about, right. Okay, I'm not passing it in. That makes sense. So in my index.ejs, to pass the page, that's the second argument in my curly braces page, right? So I'm passing in the detail from my server to the render method that takes in the file and the data associated with that particular file. So I'll come back here. I load. What's there now? Slash login, right? The page. Hmm. Unexpected identifier. Okay. Page. Mixing. Yeah, this is a problem. Sometimes this doesn't give the line where the error is coming. So we just remove this and see the problem. Yep, that was a problem. Okay, I think we can just put one variable at a time. All right, so you can see it came over here. And the same time in my file, if I go to the source head, and you can see the title over here. It's not the same syntax right now. It's it's just showing the login title and the style file. Same way if I come to my index.js and I just simply put login page over here, I'll put a request again. You can see the title over here changed as well, and uh, in the file it's showing over here. So all this is happening in my server and not in the browser, and it loads much quicker as well. Over here also you can see it's changed login page. I'll just put it back to login, and I can do the same thing. Uh, this is how you inject variables in the EJS file. Uh, so here I'll just copy the same thing, paste it, and this is the register page. Okay, and I'll pass in the page. All right. So before we go into the other things, how in with this syntax you're allowed to do so many things, but typing it like this is quite hectic. So to use it, you can just come to the to make it easier typing. You can just come to your extensions. You can just put EJS and EJS language support. So you can use this extension, and it will give you like how there are the emmet allows you to write HTML quicker. Same way, using this, you can write EJS much quicker. So if you need this, it's there inside the position. Just a second, guys. Yep, okay, that's fine. So you can, I will share this extension, or you can just look for EJS language support. And using this, it will give you a bunch of shortcuts that will help you type your EJS much quicker. So I'll close this. And instead of typing like this, it gives me the options. But again, reaching out my hand to the lesser than and moving the index finger to the percentage is a bit tiring. So you can just type EJS and the type of EJS statement you want. So first off we saw was an EJS output, right? So you just put EJS out and it will give you that by itself. So this same EJS out, we used it over here and here. The next thing we'll take a look at is loops, right? So EJS 4, and it will come out automatically. So just like JavaScript, it starts off with a for loop, the initialization, uh, the condition, and the increment in the third one, and it closes off over here. And then in between whatever you put here, it will emit out that into the in the format of HTML, and in the end it's being closed again in another EJ style. So what do I mean by emit out, right? So I'll come over here. I'll just put and say 5, and just put a h1, and I'll put hello, and I'll use EJS out over here again, and I'll just put the index. All right. Then if I go to my login, yep, here you can see, okay, it's in one single line, right? I'll just simply put a break tag. Okay, that's not working. All right. But you can see, so now I've used for loop with EJS uh, within my server. So starting from top, I'm putting a request to the login page. Inside the login page, it's going into the render method. I'm responding with the dot render, and render takes in 2 or more arguments. The third one is options that we'll not discuss right now. Only the first two are important, where the first argument is mandatory and the second one is optional. The first one is the file that you want to render and send to the browser, and the second one is the data associated with that particular file. So in our case, I want to render the login file, and with the login file, I want to send the page object to that login file. So when I'm putting dot render, It goes into the login file, login.ejs, and in that login.ejs, I have access to this page object. So I can easily use a page object in my EJS file with the EJS output tag, that is the this one with the equal to, and it will put that output that in my file. Same way, EJS tag in EJS you can use for loop. In for loop it has two parts. One is the starting tag and the ending tag. The starting is the for loop conditions. The second is the closing the for loop. In between, whatever I put will get emitted out into the EJS file. So over here, I just put a for loop to till 5, starting from index 0, and it's just emitting out. It'll emit out 5 h1 tags over here, like hello, and within that, I'm again using the EJS output and I'm outputting the index. So it looks something like this. Another use cases. Let's try to make this more interactive. So in my index.js, I can just come over here, const people, some, and I can just make an array. So I can just put name. Imanshu, something like this. And I can send this to the login file. And instead of putting 5 over here, I'll just put people dot length, and I want to output the name. So hello, people, and index. Now I'll come back here, reload, so you can see the same thing. Hello Ashit, hello Kunal, Sahil, Himanshu. It's all coming in my browser. Any doubts so far, guys? Any doubts?
No,
No doubts. Okay. Others? If you have any doubts, you can put in the chat box as well. Okay. Till then, let's just continue. Okay, so this was EJS for loop. Other than for loop, we also can use the EJS for each. So EJS, I'll just type EJS and then each. So here it gives me the template by itself. So or instead of array, I'll just put people, and I'll just put again h1 inside the h1, I, and then again EJS out, and that instead of element, I'll just put name. Okay, and I'll come back here and gives me the same thing. For each, I can even use for each inside my EJS file. The next one could be, say, if else statements, right? In using EJS, using them within EJS, you can say like you're conditionally rendering some particular part in your login file. So suppose say in my, or let's just use in the login page itself. In my login page, I'll just come on top or inside this itself, and I'll put EJS if, and it's just like an if statement. It takes in a condition. If the condition true, then what was in between these two EJS tags, then it will emit that out into HTML. So say people dot length is greater than 2, then put say h1 and put there are a lot of people. Okay, so I'll come back here, I'll reload, and you see there are a lot of people. It's getting out. Why? Because in my bag address slash login, I have the people array, which is whose length is 4. suppose say I can even change the condition over here. If it's greater than uh, 4, then only do this. It won't come this time because we uh, my people's array is length is exact 4. It should be greater than 4, then only it will get emitted out. So in that case, I can even do something called EJS else. Yeah. So this is my, in the same way, I can put an else statement. Just like we want only this to be gone. And I want to close it off. Same way, close it off over here. Okay. Okay. So this syntax is pretty similar to an if-else statement. So if this condition is true, then emit do this. Else, in another EJS tag, then do what was put over here. So H1, there are not enough people. Okay. So I'll come over here. Showing there are not enough people. If I change the condition over here, say 3, in this case, there are a lot of people. So this was kind of like conditional rendering uh, and rendering whatever you want based on particular parameters and sending that to the browser. Okay. So now in the login file I showed you, we were doing the page.title over here and page.file like this. And I told in the same way we can do it for the register page and for the home page also, right? I'll just come to the home page. Here I'll just put page and I'll put it as home, and the style, it was not the style, it was a home.css, right? But now if I go to my login.js, this same thing I'll have to repeat in my register.ejs over here and here again in my home.ejs. I have to come and repeat it over here. So instead of doing this, what I can do is EJS allows and you to include certain parts of one file into another. So this concept is called partials. What I can do is I can create another folder over here called partials. It can be anything you want, but uh, following the community guidelines, we usually name it partials. Inside that, say my header.ejs. So in my header, I want what is common. Till the body part, everything is common, right? So I'll just take this out and I'll go to my header.ejs, paste it over here. Over here, what I can do is the title, I'll be sending it from the backend. So EJS out, simple as that. Page.title. Same way, I don't need the JavaScript file as of now. So over here, EJS out, I can put page.file. Okay. I don't need this in my login and register, right? So how do I actually get it to my to the other EJS files? So I'll come to my login, EJS in EJS I INC. Okay, you type that. It'll give you a tag with include return inside. So as name suggests and pretty straightforward. Include and I'll put in dot the path of the file. So partials slash header dot EJS. So this same thing. I'll go to my register, put it here. I'll come to my home, put it here as well. And if I come over here, there's a slight error because I'm not specifying what type of output I want. I want unescaped output over here. So I'll just put a dash, dash. I think this should work. Okay, still an error. Uh, right, it should be dot slash, not dot partials. Same way here. And yeah, now it works. Okay. So using this type of say partials method, or making your code into reusable components, it makes your code much cleaner to understand at the same time. So I knew my header was common in all three files. So all I had to do was create a separate partials folder. In that, I created a header part. It's basically like I knew till body it's common, so I created till that. And in that, the title, only thing that differs is the title and the file that is being sent from the backend. So only that I have to change over here. And to bring it into my other files, I'm using the include method over here that takes in the location of the file. And I have to use this dash over here. And you might be asking, what's the difference between this dash and the equal to that we saw over here, right? Let's just take a look. So I'll come to my login.js. I'll just come below the section, EJS. I'll do escaped output and EJS. Okay, first let me fill that. Okay. I'll put in a h1 here. Hello slash h1 out. Same way, h1 hello slash h1. Okay. Then I'll come to my browser, reload. It was a login page, right? So you can see how it came out over here. So this, when it comes with the dash, it's called an unescaped output, and comes with an equal to, it's called an escaped output. Unescaped basically means whatever the output is, if in our case it's a string which contains the uh, heading element, it will convert this into HTML. It will, meaning it will not let any other uh, thing which is of HTML to be outputted directly. So in here, there's a h1 tag. It will convert this whole thing into a h1 element and then give that output. Whereas in the case of escaped output, meaning it allows h1 tag over here to be just as it is. It just prints out as it is a normal string. So when you're using EJS, you have to be careful which type of output you're using, whether you're using an unescaped output or an escaped output. So in my include, I just put slash dash over here because whatever is there in this, convert into HTML and then include it inside my uh, other files. All right. I think that's the gist of EJS so far. There's nothing much to it. It just makes your page more dynamic. It helps you write your web pages in a more concise manner, especially this feature over here. It it really does help a lot. And then the for loops and the conditional rendering as well. Any doubts so far? You guys have any doubts?
No way.
No way.
Okay. Uh, all right, I want you guys to try one thing. So, I mean, it's in the same project what you're doing. It's just a small one. you create this EJS file, this file structure in your index.js. You just have to change the, instead of res.send file, you'll be using res.render, and you have to put this line over here so that you can use the render method, and the EJS files are sent, are executed in the server and sent to the browser. And in your home.ejs, it's a simple task. So basically, when the user logs in, you check in which user is logged in, and then you send that user name to the uh, home.ejs. So I just put EJS out in here. You just put user dot name, something like this. And to for this to happen in your home route, home route over here, you have to use the fs library, file structure library, to access the data dot db.json to see who is logged in using the res.user request.user, or else in the request.user itself you can access it directly. So I just wanted to send the name directly. So for example, over here I'll just put say user as say Kunal. Okay, then I'll come back over here. Okay, because I know it's something like this is to const user equal to name as null, and then send the user object directly, and this will work fully. Okay, same error. Did I not change this one over here? User dot name. Okay. Oh, right. uh, I didn't send the page object as well. So just simple page, and yeah, you can see my name came up over here. In a similar way, if I just changed it to some other name, that will also change. So I want you to make this dynamic. uh, you access either the fs or the request.user uh, object that we create in the middleware, and add that to the user.name, and send that to the EJS file. And in the EJS file, you just put the name on the header. That's it. That's just a small additional change. I want you to do this to your current project. That's it for today's session, guys. Any doubts? But you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, I don't have anything to say. Sahil Vasa, uh, did you enjoy the session?
Yeah, it was good.
Okay, so what is the current project that you are working on, Sahil? Like the task that you have been given?
We have to make a login form using Express, and we have to like set up the login form and use the database, so it will be stored in the database. Two pages, the login page and then the forgot password and the home page also.
Okay, so now you'll also have to implement EJS in it, right?
Yeah,
As Kunal said, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah, Kunal, I don't have anything else to say, so we can wind up the session.
Yep. All right, guys. I mean, if there is no other doubts, then yeah, you can feel free to leave now. I will share the recording with you guys and some resources as well.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye, Sahil. Take care.
Bye, guys. Bye, Vasa. Bye, Sahil.